let's talk about the American League East. A little bit of news this week. Alex Bregman finally found a home. Red Sox. It's a deal with options, Michael. What do you make of this deal for Bregman and how it relates to the Red Sox? Because it's a little noisy as it relates to Rafael Devers, too.
Well, it's caused some problems in Boston because Rafael Devers said, I'm a third baseman. I'm not playing first. I'm not being the DH. Now, Bregman was the best third baseman in the American League last year. He won the Gold Glove. And Devers is not a great third baseman. He's a great hitter. But he came right out and said that's not the way it's going to be. I talked to Tony Maserati today, longtime radio host in Boston, and he said, Boston messed this up from the very beginning. This should have been all worked out beforehand. And he said the bottom line is, he could say he's not playing first base and he's not DHing, but he is going to be the DH when the season opens, especially if the kid Campbell is ready to play second. They will have Bregman play third, and they're going to have to deal with the fallout of Devers being upset.
Tony Maz speaks the truth to Michael because what is Devers going to do? When the lineup goes up for opening day and it says DH or first base by his name, and I don't think it'll be first base because Casas will be there, that's the position he's going to have to play. Bregman is the superior defender. You look at defensive runs saved last year. I know that's only one metric, but Bregman was a +6. Devers, who has gotten better at third, was a -9. So you're going to play Bregman at third base, and Devers is just going to have to live with it. Cora, the manager, was asked about this, and he even said that was under a different regime. Now, he was still there, but the executive who made that promise to Devers that you were going to be the third baseman, Chaim Bloom, he's no longer there.
See, I'm a big Alex Cora fan. I think a lot of this falls in his lap, but I thought that was a bad answer because, as you said, he was part of the group of people that signed Devers and said he was going to be a third baseman. Now, what Alex Cora is going to have to say to Rafael Devers is, listen, you got your bag. You got your $313 million contract. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Now, just play where we think it's going to help us win the most, because he's not going to make any more money if he plays third base. Guys have pride. Maybe he wants to have a glove. But the bottom line is they gave him all of that money for two reasons. They messed up the Mookie Betts situation and let him get to the Dodgers. And number two, he's a great hitter. That's why they gave him money, not about his glove.
And they got to find a way to get more than 81 wins, which they had last year. Meantime, the Blue Jays threw some big money at some big-name free agents this offseason. Didn't land any. And now we learned today they didn't land their own guy. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. came to camp saying, opening day, spring training, it's got to get done, or I'm not going to sign an extension. And they didn't get it done, Jack.
Yeah, the Jays had a rough offseason, and I think as far as Guerrero Jr. goes, Bob, he has said he wants to be a Blue Jay. A lot of money, and if he wanted to be a Blue Jay, a team that has struggled so hard to get players to go there, I think the Blue Jays should have pushed even higher to keep him there.
I agree with you. I think it's an epic fail by the Blue Jays. They could not get Soto to take their money. They could not get Shohei Ohtani to take their money. A lot of people have turned down their money. The most recent one, Pete Alonso, turned down the money to return to the Mets. This is a guy who wants to be there. He's a Canadian citizen. He was born in Canada because his dad was playing for the Montreal Expos at that time. And I always remember something that Andrew Friedman, who runs the Dodgers, said. If you're going to be rational when it comes to free agency, you are always going to finish third. They had exclusive negotiating rights for one of their franchise icons, and they didn't take advantage of it. And I think he is not going to re-sign with the Blue Jays when 29 other teams have a chance to bid on him and drive the price up to a place where maybe the Blue Jays are uncomfortable. They should have given him what he wants. I know that's not a good way to negotiate, but everybody's turning down their money, and he was willing to take it. Right. You got to give him what he wants.
Prime real estate in center field for Bellinger. And then the importance of Goldschmidt at first. Yankees, when they're successful in win, Jack, always have a guy who could play great defense and pick it. Goldschmidt is that kind of guy.
And we heard from two former MVPs, and I think, Bob, two players who have something to prove with the Yankees, because I think if you ask them, both would say they didn't love the seasons they had last season. You talk about the changes that the Yankees tried to make into this season. They wanted to get more athletic. They wanted to get better defensively. I think with these two additions, they did that. I think they're looking forward to see what both of them will do. When you dig into the numbers, both of their numbers from their respective teams last season would have been better if they played half their games at Yankee Stadium. So, Michael, I think in the pivot post-Juan Soto life, the Yankees knew they needed to add some offense, and they did it with these two.
And they also wanted to add defense, and they did it with those two as well. You know, with Goldschmidt, he might be on the downside of his career. He's 37 years old. I understand that. But first base offensively and even defensively for the Yankees has been a black hole the last couple of years after the injury, obviously, to Anthony Rizzo. So I think Goldschmidt's going to improve on the production out of first base. He can play good defense. He's done that before. And Bellinger, I think, has a lot to prove, and he wants to be here. He desperately desperately wanted to be here for the longest time. Now he gets a chance to play where his father won a World Series, and he wants to obviously rejuvenate his career because he could opt out of his contract and get bigger money next year if he comes off a great season.
Guys, let's go from the veteran end of the spectrum to the early stages of careers. Anthony Volpe, year 3 coming up. Austin Wells, year 2. And for Jason Dominguez, year 1. And for the big signing bonus he got and all the attention that he's had throughout his minor league career, now's the time to cash in on that.
Yeah, Dominguez is as fascinating and as interesting a player as the Yankees will have on their squad this season. They need him to succeed. This is his time. There is no going back to AAA. You have to let Jason Dominguez get an opportunity to prove he can be your starting left fielder in 25. And though we are so prone to talk about the veterans like Goldschmidt and Bellinger and what are they going to do, I'm going to go back to a comment that Tim Naring, Bob, made to you and myself and Meredith during the winter meetings. He's one of Cashman's top lieutenants, and he said, you look at what Dominguez did last year, and he barely played at the major league level, but you also look at Volpe, you look at Wells. Your expectation, Michael, should be that all 3 of those players should be better in 2025 than they were in 2024. So some of that offense the Yankees are looking for should come from those players.
Well, I think, Jack, that Dominguez is the most important player on the Yankees. Obviously, you expect what you expect out of Aaron Judge. You expect that sort of season. Everybody's going to play within the parameters of what they played before, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit of a drop-off. But Dominguez is the X factor. He could be the guy hitting at the top of the order, too.
Yeah. As for one last thing on Austin Wells, you don't just hand that job to a rookie, the catching position for the Yankees. He earned it, and you have to wonder what the potential upside is in year 2 for him.
Yeah, really slow start that he didn't let harpoon his entire season. He ends up winning the job from Trevino and then struggled at the end of the season. But, Bob, overall, ended up finishing 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting. And for a player who came and tried to ascend toward the major leagues with all these questions about his defense, he was terrific. His pitch framing was excellent. He is someone that pitchers like throwing to. I do think that it's curious that he came to spring training and is starting a little bit later than everyone else. Boone said he wants to sort of slow play Wells's spring training. That might have something to do with all the innings and games that he played last season.
Yeah, that kind of stuff gets me nervous. I mean, this is a young guy. He's actually taking batting practice in those sessions against the starting pitching and not swinging the bat. I mean, the last game he played was the end of October, so he's had a little bit of a blow. But health and science plays a big role in this, and maybe they want to rejuvenate him because he caught an awful lot last year. But the fact that he's not going to play any spring training games until March, I want to see what that's all about.